if you can do something, prove it, girl. I mean, I'm not doing that for someone else. I wasn't doing that for someone else. It was for me. I wanted to see where are my limits, right? Where I can go, what thing I can reach. And theoretically, that has been recognized because I agree with you. The career was going very quickly. I mean, it was 2 years when the job that you just mentioned, and then very quickly I have been doing jobs in for Central Eastern Europe, Middle East, Africa as a delivery operation. And when I have the interview to get the job, and my boss back then, he was explaining to me, they thought actually, and that stay between us in that they actually thought, because I was working for that position previously, I know everything about that part of the job. So I realized that, and I never said, no, I don't know that, and so on. But I said, of course I can do that. There is no problem. And everyone's talking to me, and everyone was assuming that I know exactly what they're talking about. I had no idea, had really no idea. But I say, okay, they know how to do that. I'm going to learn it as well. Yeah. So a year after, I was really reached the point that I could really stand in for my manager. And 2 years after, I took over his position. And a couple of years after, Neil found me and gave me my next challenge. So it was going really, really quickly. Yeah. And then you reach a point and you say, okay.
So just to be clear, right? I didn't find Rania. Rania, when Rania wants something, she goes for it and gets it. So
okay. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I said I need to do something different, because you need to reach a point. The point that you reach that you have learned everything that is possible for you, then you need to move. So you cannot stay at the same point.
But you've just dispelled a myth that we have had on here for 31 episodes, right?
Okay.
And the myth was that in most of the experience that we've heard, and we've heard this directly from female leaders themselves, is that their experience is a male leader looking for their next job will say, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's mine. That's not a problem. And the female leader will say, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I could do 80% of it. And it just shows, right? I've got to make sure I voice this correctly. You acted like a male's attributes and your career moved at a pace. There's a really important lesson here, guys. It actually says that all the things the female leaders said up until us now, Ronnie has just proven it true. That when you've taken a different approach, it's accelerated your career, right?
Exactly like that. And by the way, I'm always saying, and I don't want to misunderstood here, because I'm always saying I'm a kind of against this women quote that they say all the time, okay? Because for me is embarrassing, and I don't want to be treated like I need to justify a percentage.
Yeah,
I need to have 20%, so that we need to have. That's not the correct way. I think whether male or female, they need to have equal chances if they have the competences. For me, that's the point. Can you do that? Do you bring the competences, the energy? Do you want to grow? Do you want to go inside that? Do you want to go out of your comfort zone? Okay, that is the question we need to answer here. I mean, I think it's insulting for the women to say you have to take the job because you have to, as I said, justify a couple of percentages. Or what I don't like as well is women taking over leadership roles, and then they try to prove outside that I'm taking the role, I have the role because I worth really, and I haven't been made any favor, which is stupid. Because why? I haven't seen any male trying to justify that. We do a job. That's it.
I think there's a key learning point in this, though, which I think it's worth just drilling into, which is how do you say to someone, because you put your hand up and said, I want to do this. I think I can do this. I'm happy to step outside my comfort zone because I know I haven't got all the skills. I'm prepared to do this. And what we see from surveys and what we hear from other people is that ladies in business are less likely to put their hand up. They wait to be asked. So what advice would you give to any aspiring female leader on how to promote themselves or push themselves or step outside that comfort zone, what advice would you have?
Don't afraid. If you have the feeling that you can do that, if you know that you have the competences, and by the way, no one was born inside the job. Everyone would learn, and actually you're taking over a position from someone that left or moved, and then you find out a status quo, how the person was there before, structure the business. Then you need to go inside, first of all learn, and then don't afraid and go for that and say, yeah, I think I can do that. Why not? And don't afraid. But that needs to be, the whole body language needs to say that. It's not like say, I think I can do that, but you need to feel it. It needs to be inside. The flame needs to be inside you. I want to do that. And I'm okay with all the people that they're happy what they're doing, and they want to do it the next 20 years and then retire. Because if they're happy, it's okay.
Yeah.
What was the flame that was driving you? Because that's really a really good description, is the flame. Very Greek way of describing something, actually, is this flame. So what was the flame that was driving you, though?
I wanted to learn more. I wanted to grow. I wanted to see what are my limits. I'm always looking to my limits and see you can do more. You can learn. I'm listening carefully. I'm learning from other people. And that is what I want. I want always to learn more. I don't want to stay here. And then it's like the story with the boiled frog, right? You know the story?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same. It's the same. I want to go out and I want to learn. And if I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail. And then you say, I failed, but I learn.
Wow, that's brilliant.
But it's interesting, actually, because as you said, it's just keep pushing, keep learning, right? And this is what we've been saying to our audience as well. You need to find what is your driver. You need to find what is it takes you to the next level, because it's not a single story for everybody, right? But no, fantastic news. Neil, your next question or me?
No, you go next.
So what we just talked about is your history. And we've talked about the things that you've done and how you've got here. I'm assuming along the journey, Ourania, there might have been one or two special moments, special things that happened that stick in your mind. Probably not the toothpick story that you and I talked about earlier, but tell us about your proudest moment as a leader. So once you became a leader and you were responsible for the destiny of your business and your people, tell us about one of your proudest moments in that.
One very important moment was, and I was there, I'll give you three. The one was when I was participating to one of the big events that we have been doing back in IBM, and one lady, a female, approached me from Poland. I didn't know exactly. I mean, I have seen the name and so on, but I didn't know the lady. And she told me that she had just been promoted to a management role, and that I was the one inspiring her all the time, along the time. Wow. And that was, I didn't realize, I mean, I wasn't doing something different. I mean, I was leading those teams. I was leading CE and Middle East Africa for something like almost 7-8 years, many countries, many travels, a lot of whole events and so on. And I didn't realize that. So she approached me and she said that to me. I was really very, very proud. Yeah. That is the one thing. The other thing is that when as you know, that we have not always all the times are really very, very smoothly going. So we have a lot of challenges and a lot of issues that we need to face. And the worst of all was the layoffs that from time to time everyone changes, etc. and so on. Yeah. And there are a lot of discussions. I was really going individually, and I was trying to prepare all the teams. I had something like 20 country leading, right? So it was not only one country. And people were coming to me and discussing and were saying to me many times, I have heard that, I'm doing that for you and not for IBM, because you are the one I trust. So that was a very important moment for me. Of course, I was trying to say, yeah, but we are part of the team and so on. I couldn't say that, oh yeah, I'm the best one, I'm the best. I'm not that kind of a person. But it was really for sure impacting me. And just to go back to the female point that you have been talking about, the third important moment for a person that was my manager or managing the whole, because I was delivery leader, I was part of the technical organization. And it's very important to say that I was leading the technical organization, something like 1,000 hardware software engineers. And the most important time when my manager told me that you have been, and he was with IBM more than 35 years, you have been the best delivery leader I have ever met in my life. And he meant that because I was the only one delivery leader going and having every country meetings, and all the technical resources were sitting in the room and was listening to me seriously, because I was the only one going there without a presentation.
It's interesting. Those three examples you've given, which are fantastic, by the way, Ourania, are really good stories for people to hear. The feeling I get is you care about people. You care, genuinely care about people. It's not about what's the process I've got to go through. It's not because HR said make sure you put time in the calendar to deal with people. You genuinely care about, and that has to be true. You came from being a teacher, right? But it just shows what a difference you can make. You don't have to be the best technical expert in the world. You don't have to be the top negotiator. You don't have to be the toughest guy in the room that bangs the desk. Genuinely caring about people, and you're an outstanding leader, right? Fantastic.
That's a great observation, Albert, actually, which is, and it's interesting that the parallels between this interview and one we did yesterday, actually, is that when people want to follow a leader, it's because the leader cares about people. And that's what we're hearing from you here, is it's all about the people, which is brilliant. And that's great feedback for anyone listening to this, is, get that balance right. So I think we'll ask one more question, and then we'll go on to a few quick fire questions, if that's okay. So what advice would you have for, or what do you think would be the best advice you could give to a new leader that's coming into the workplace? And probably some of the answers you've probably already answered to this. And I guess there's a second question I'd like to ask as well, which is, when you coming from being a teacher into business and leadership, what lessons, what did that bring for you? What skills did you learn there that are really, really useful in the leadership space?
Advice for a new leader is, especially nowadays, it's very important that to let the control. Nowadays, especially nowadays, with the COVID situation and the lockdown and the home office, you need to go out of the old-fashioned way. You need to empower the people. A very important thing is trust and empathy.
Yep.
That's the most important. Trust and empathy for your team. I'm keep on saying the same thing. We are each one of us that having a managing or whatever position, anyhow, managing people needs to know that. It's very important. We are what we are because our team is cooperating, our team is contributing, and they are not following someone because the title is accordingly. They're following someone if they have the confidence and the trust and the feeling that he's the person is real. Okay, that's very important.
Yeah.
What
about the things you learned from moving from being a teacher?
The things I learned, people management. Okay. I'm very sorry to say that sorry. You have heard me many times today, but it's an important thing. And to my opinion, nowadays we don't invest enough time on people management in the organizations, in the corporates. Yeah. We don't. We're just neglecting that time because we don't have the time. It needs time. As I said, it's time consuming, and we don't do that. We are concentrating on the administration things, but we don't really invest the time on this one. And that that's why we say all the time, I mean, you know, that people living